Every day, billions of people use soap without thinking about where it came from. It smells pleasant, it creates soft white foam, and it represents cleanliness, health, and safety. But the first soap was nothing like the perfect bar sitting beside your sink, and it was a greasy chemical paste made by heating fat with alkaline ashes. Ancient people used it on dirty wool. Roman laundry workers cleaned clothing by standing barefoot inside vats of human urine. Medieval families boiled animal fat in enormous pots, while dangerously strong lye could burn their skin. And centuries later, doctors were still moving directly from human autopsies to childbirth without properly cleaning their hands. The history of soap is not simply the history of getting clean. It is the story of dirt, disease, death, chemistry, advertising, and one of the most important changes in human civilization. The earliest surviving evidence of soap-like materials comes from ancient Mesopotamia. Around 2800 BC, Babylonian craftspeople were producing substances made from fats, oils, and alkaline materials. Additional recipes were later recorded on clay tablets. The basic chemistry was surprisingly similar to traditional soap making. Fat was heated with an alkaline substance, often created from plant or wood ash. The chemical reaction transformed the greasy ingredients into a material that could interact with both water and oil. But these early mixtures were probably not designed primarily for pleasant daily showers. They were useful for cleaning wool, preparing textiles, and performing other practical tasks. The result may have looked like a thick brown paste, smelled terrible, and contained pieces of ash or poorly processed fat. It cleaned, but it was far from luxurious. Ancient Egyptians also produced soap-like substances by combining animal fats or vegetable oils with alkaline salts. Some mixtures were connected with medicine and the treatment of skin conditions. Others were used for cleaning textiles. The Egyptians cared deeply about appearance and cleanliness, but their products would still have been crude by modern standards. There were no laboratories measuring skin irritation, no carefully balanced fragrances, no safety regulations protecting the customer. Producing soap meant controlling a dangerous reaction using uncertain ingredients. Too little alkali could leave a greasy lump. Too much could create a corrosive substance capable of damaging the skin. The ancient Romans became famous for their enormous public baths. These complexes contained heated rooms, cold pools, exercise areas, and spaces for conversation. Thousands of people could enter some of the largest bathhouses. But many Romans did not clean themselves by covering their bodies in modern-style soap. A bather might apply olive oil to the skin and then scrape away the oil, sweat, and dirt using a curved metal tool called a strigil. For clothing, however, Roman cleaning became far more disgusting. Roman cities contained professional laundries known as phalaeniki. These businesses required a powerful substance capable of removing grease from wool. Their solution was human urine. Containers could be placed around the city to collect urine from the public. The liquid was transported to laundries, diluted, and poured into large stone vats. Workers then climbed inside and stomped on the clothing with their bare feet. As urine aged, chemical changes produced ammonia, which helped break down grease and dirt. To the Romans, urine was not simply waste. It was a valuable industrial material. It became valuable enough to tax. The Emperor Vespasian famously imposed a tax connected with the urine trade. According to the traditional story, when his son complained about the disgusting source of the revenue, Vespasian held up a coin and asked whether it smelled. The message was simple: money does not stink. After the Western Roman Empire declined, soap production did not disappear. Different regions preserved and improved their own traditions. In the Middle East, soap makers developed high-quality products using vegetable oils. Cities such as Aleppo became associated with soaps made from olive and laurel oils. These bars were very different from the rough animal fat mixtures produced elsewhere. They could be firm, long-lasting, and suitable for trade across large distances. Soap making also developed in Mediterranean European cities with access to olive oil. Castile in Spain and Marseille in France became famous centers of production. Fine olive oil soap was valuable, but that also meant it was often unavailable to ordinary people. For many families, soap remained a rough homemade product. Animal fat left over from cooking or slaughter could be melted inside a large cauldron. Water filtered through wood ashes produced an alkaline lye solution. The ingredients were boiled together until the mixture thickened. This process could be dangerous. Concentrated lye could burn skin and damage eyes. An incorrectly measured batch might remain greasy, separate into layers, or become painfully harsh. The finished soap was often brown, uneven, and unpleasant smelling. Strong fragrances were expensive, so the natural smell of old fat could remain. Despite popular myths, medieval Europeans did not completely stop bathing. Communal bathhouses existed in many towns, and washing habits varied by place, wealth, and period. But public bathing gradually became less common in parts of Western Europe. Bathhouses could be associated with prostitution, immoral behavior, or crowded conditions. Epidemics also created fear that entering warm water and opening the pores might allow disease into the body. Without an understanding of bacteria, people developed their own explanations for infection. Some wealthy Europeans increasingly relied on clean linen, perfumes, and partial washing rather than frequent full-body immersion. Looking clean and smelling pleasant did not always mean the body had been thoroughly washed. Soap also remained expensive because governments recognized it as a useful source of tax revenue. In several European countries, taxes helped transform an ordinary cleaning product into something closer to a luxury. Poor families might use soap carefully, save it for laundry, or produce crude versions at home. The Industrial Revolution changed everything. Soap production required alkali, and industrial chemists searched for cheaper methods of producing it. In 1791, French chemist Nicolas Leblanc opened a factory using a new process that could produce soda ash from common salt. The process was dirty and environmentally destructive. Factories released corrosive gases and produced enormous amounts of waste. But it helped make alkali available on an industrial scale. Soap no longer had to be produced only in small workshops. Giant factories could manufacture thousands of nearly identical bars. At the same time, industrial cities were becoming dangerously crowded. Workers lived in packed neighborhoods surrounded by smoke, sewage, contaminated water, and overflowing waste. Diseases such as cholera moved through communities with terrifying speed. People still did not fully understand why. Many believed that disease was caused by poisonous air called miasma. The idea that invisible living organisms could travel on hands, instruments, and water had not yet been widely accepted. This misunderstanding became deadly inside hospitals. During the 1840s, Hungarian physician Ignaz Semmelweis worked at Vienna General Hospital. He noticed a horrifying difference between two maternity clinics. In the clinic staffed by doctors and medical students, many more women died from childbed fever than in the clinic staffed by midwives. The doctors frequently performed autopsies before examining women in labor. They might wash visible dirt from their scenes, but they did not understand that they could carry deadly contamination from a corpse directly to a living patient. Semmelweis introduced mandatory hand cleaning using a chlorinated lime solution. The death rate fell dramatically. Today, the result seems obvious. At the time, it was revolutionary and insulting. Many doctors refused to accept that respectable medical professionals could be responsible for killing their own patients. Semmelweis lacked a complete scientific explanation for what he observed, and his ideas met serious resistance. Only later did the work of scientists such as Louis Pasteur, Joseph Lister, and Robert Koch help establish germ theory. Cleanliness was no longer only about appearance or smell. It could prevent infection. Meanwhile, soap manufacturers learned that they were not merely selling a chemical product, they were selling an identity. In 1807, Andrew Pears began producing a transparent soap in London. Its appearance made it look refined, gentle, and pure compared with rough traditional bars. During the Victorian era, soap advertising became incredibly powerful. Companies connected soap with beauty, wealth, respectability, and civilization. A clean home represented moral discipline. A clean body represented social superiority. Some advertisements also used racist and imperialist imagery, presenting European cleanliness as proof of supposed cultural superiority. Soap was becoming both a health product and a propaganda tool. In the United States, Procter & Gamble introduced Ivory soap in 1879. Its bright white appearance, claims of purity, and ability to float helped make it memorable. Mass production and aggressive advertising turned soap from an occasional household material into an everyday necessity. But why does soap work so well? Water alone struggles to remove oily dirt because water and oil naturally separate. Soap molecules have two different ends. One end interacts with water while the other interacts with grease and oil.
When you rub soap across dirty skin, the molecules surround oily material and help pull it away from the surface. Water can then carry it down the drain. Soap does not need to kill every microorganism directly. Its physical action helps lift dirt, grease, and microbes from the skin so they can be rinsed away. That simple chemical behavior changed human life. Soap supported cleaner hospitals, safer childbirth, improved food preparation, and better control of infectious disease. Yet access to soap and clean water is still not universal. For millions of people, the object that many of us barely notice remains difficult to obtain or use consistently. The modern bar beside your sink is the result of nearly 5,000 years of experimentation. Animal fat, wood ash, corrosive lye, olive oil, industrial pollution, human urine, deadly hospital infections, and advertising that transformed cleanliness into a product. Soap began as an ugly chemical mixture used on wool and dirty fabric. It eventually became one of the simplest and most effective tools humans have ever created. So the next time you wash your hands, remember what is actually happening. You are repeating an ancient chemical reaction. But instead of standing barefoot inside a Roman vat of urine, you only need water, 20 seconds, and a small bar that helped change the world.